The Galactic Council chamber was quiet when the final report appeared in the air. Lines of text glowed in pale blue, cold and official. One word stood out above all others. Apex. That was what they now called Earth. To the Council the meaning was clear. Apex meant dangerous. Apex meant unpredictable. Apex meant a species that rose too fast and did not know its place. Many members believed such a species could not be allowed to grow. The vote was not yet final, but the decision was already forming. Far away on Earth, Admiral James Walker stood in the command center overlooking the planet. The room was calm. Screens showed steady data, ship movement, energy levels, distant signals. A junior officer stepped forward and passed him the council notice. James read it once. Then he read it again. He did not raise his voice. He did not show anger. He simply nodded. So they finally said it out loud, he said. The officer waited, unsure what to expect. Humans were known for strong reactions. But James Walker only folded his hands behind his back. Begin defensive readiness, James ordered. Level 2. No aggressive posture. Yes, sir, the officer replied. Another commander nearby frowned. Admiral, should we not show strength? If they see restraint as weakness. James turned slightly, his expression firm but calm. Strength is not noise, he said. And fear is not respect. We will defend Earth. But we will not threaten. Across the ocean, in a tall glass building filled with light, Emily Carter prepared to speak before the Galactic Council. She stood alone in the communication chamber, reviewing her words one last time. She knew many in the council already feared humans. Fear made listening difficult. Still, she straightened her shoulders. When the link opened, the council chamber appeared around her. Dozens of alien forms watched in silence. Some looked curious. Others looked tense. A few showed clear dislike. Emily began. Members of the council, she said, her voice steady, you have labeled Earth as the apex. I ask you to reconsider what that truly means. A low murmur spread. You see rapid growth and call it danger, she continued. You see adaptation and call it threat. But humans did not reach the stars to conquer. We reached them to survive. Cooperation is how we lived on a hard world. Cooperation is how we wish to live among you. One counselor leaned forward. Your species has fought many wars, it said. You perfected weapons before trust. Emily nodded. Yes, and we learned the cost. That is why we value restraint. That is why our fleets protect trade lanes instead of raiding them. That is why our first response is always dialogue. Some listened. Others did not. As Emily spoke, far beyond council space, alien fleets began to move. They came from different systems, different species, but with one shared belief. Earth must be crushed early. History as they understood it warned them. Apex predators did not share power. They took it. The fleets gathered in silence, massive shapes against the dark. Commanders reviewed plans that assumed human aggression. They expected roaring challenges, threats, and sudden attacks. Instead they found something else. Human ships did not rush forward. They did not form attack lines. They held position near Earth, quiet and disciplined. Their weapons remained powered down, though ready. One alien captain stared at the sensor display. Why do they wait? It asked. No traps detected, an aide replied. No hostile signals. The captain's frills twitched in unease. This was not how predators behaved. Back on Earth, James Walker watched the same data. He saw the fleets gathering. He saw how close they came. Hold position, he said again. No first strike. A commander clenched his jaw. Sir, they believe we are dangerous. James nodded. Then we show them control. In the council chamber, Emily reached the end of her statement. If you fear the apex, she said, then understand this. Humanity's greatest strength is not force. It is choice. We choose when not to fight. Silence followed. The council did not answer immediately. The link closed without decision. Emily exhaled slowly. She did not know if her words had reached them. But she knew they were true. In the dark between stars, fleets waited. On Earth, defenses stood ready but silent. Across the galaxy, fear and curiosity pressed against each other. The moment had not yet broken into war. But it was close. The first shots were not loud. They were quiet bursts of light at the edge of human space, far from Earth, where trade lanes crossed empty regions of stars. Small alien strike groups moved in fast, testing human borders. They expected a hard response. They expected fear or rage. They found neither. Commander Michael Hayes stood on the bridge of his patrol ship, eyes fixed on the forward screen. Red markers showed 3 unknown vessels drifting closer to a civilian convoy. The ships carried weapons, but their formation was sloppy. They were not ready for a long fight. "Signal them," Michael said calmly. A communications officer sent the warning in clear, simple terms. "Leave the area. Power down weapons. No harm intended." The answer came back as weapons fire. Energy bolts flashed across space, missing the convoy by a narrow distance. The civilian ships scattered in panic. Michael did not raise his voice. "Defensive action only," he ordered. "Target engines and weapon mounts. Avoid hull breach." Human ships moved with control. Blue arcs of energy struck with precision. One alien ship lost power and spun slowly. Another drifted, its weapons dark. The third tried to flee but was caught in a containment field. None exploded. None burned. The convoy escaped unharmed. Michael watched the disabled ships on the screen. "Hold position," he said. "Send medical drones. Open rescue channels." An officer hesitated. "Sir, they attacked us." "Yes," Michael replied. "And now they need help." Far away in a quiet analysis center, Lauren Brooks leaned over her console. Data streamed past her eyes. Engagement reports, civilian movement, damage assessments. She was not looking for victories. She was looking for patterns. And she found one. Every human skirmish followed the same rules. Civilian safety came first. Trade routes were shielded, not used as bait. Enemy ships were disabled, not destroyed. Escape routes were left open when possible. Lauren frowned slightly. This was not what the models predicted. She flagged the report and sent it upward. "Human forces are prioritizing protection over dominance," she noted. "Behavior remains consistent, even under fire." In alien command circles, confusion spread. One fleet commander watched recordings from the border skirmishes again and again. "Why do they stop?" it demanded. "Why do they not finish the kill?" An aide answered quietly. "Perhaps they do not see us as prey." Another skirmish broke out days later, then another. Each time humans responded the same way. Calm, measured, precise. Alien ships returned damaged but intact. Crews spoke of being rescued by the same hands that disabled them. Wounded soldiers were treated. Prisoners were released near their own space. The stories did not make sense. An alien officer slammed a limb against the console. "This is wrong. Apex predators do not act like this." Back on his ship, Michael Hayes reviewed the latest patrol results. No civilian losses. No destroyed enemy vessels. His crew was tired but steady. A young officer asked, "Sir, do you think they will understand?" Michael looked out at the stars. "Understanding takes time," he said. "We just have to last long enough for it to happen." In her office, Lauren Brooks compiled her findings. The pattern was clear now. Humans were not fighting to win territory. They were fighting to prevent chaos. She sent one final note with her report. Conclusion: humans are not escalating. They are containing. This is not conquest behavior. At the edge of human space, alien fleets slowed. Attacks became cautious. Some stopped altogether. Fear was still there. But now doubt had joined it. The alien force arrived with confidence. Dozens of ships moved together, heavy with weapons and pride. They crossed deep into contested space, certain that numbers alone would decide the outcome. Their commanders believed humans would either retreat or attack without control. Neither happened. Human fleets did not rush to meet them. They held distance and watched. Silent probes tracked fuel levels, supply lines, and repair capacity. The data told a simple story. The alien force had come too far, too fast. Supplies ran low. First it was fuel. Then spare parts. Then food. One ship failed, then another. Engines lost power. Navigation systems flickered. The formation slowed, stretched thin by its own weight. Captain Jessica Moore observed the situation from her command chair. Her ship floated at a safe distance, weapons ready but unused. The screen showed drifting enemy vessels, some dark, some barely moving. "They are trapped," an officer said. "We can finish this." Jessica shook her head. "No. They finished it themselves." She leaned forward. "Open a wideband channel. Broadcast in basic trade language." The message went out, simple and clear. Human ships were offering assistance. Fuel. Repairs. Medical care. The bridge grew quiet. "Captain," another officer said carefully, "this will confuse them." Jessica allowed herself a small smile. "Good." On the alien flagship, panic had already set in. Commanders argued as systems failed one by one. When the human message arrived, it was met with disbelief. "It is a trick," one officer said. "Or an insult," said another. But then life support warnings began to sound. Reluctantly they responded. Human support ships moved in slowly. They kept weapons visible but inactive. Drones delivered fuel cells and repair units. Medical teams stood ready but unarmed. Alien crews watched in silence as help arrived from the very species they planned to destroy. During the ceasefire window, Daniel Reed requested direct talks. He did not speak as a soldier but as a mediator. His face appeared on shared screens across both fleets. "We have no wish to see lives lost to poor planning," Daniel said. "This pause can become something more if you allow it." The alien commanders listened. Some with anger. Some with shame. Some with relief. "You had the advantage," one of them said. "Why not use it?" Daniel answered simply. "Because stability matters more than victory." The words lingered. As repairs continued, conversations followed. Short at first. Careful. Then longer. Questions were asked. Answers given without threat. Jessica Moore watched from her ship as alien vessels regained power and order. None tried to escape. None fired. An idea began to form, quiet but strong. The apex did not crush. It stabilized. Reports of the incident spread quickly. Analysts replayed the data. Commanders reviewed the choices made. Everywhere the same conclusion appeared. Humans had chosen restraint when domination was easy. As the alien force withdrew under escort, not as prisoners but as neighbors, something changed. Fear did not vanish. But it shifted. For the first time, the galaxy considered that the apex might not be the end of balance, but its beginning. The council chamber filled with noise. Voices overlapped, sharp and urgent. The recent events near human space had shaken old plans, but not everyone was willing to change. Some council members demanded action. "They are still the apex," one hardliner declared. "Delay only gives them time to grow stronger. Strike now while we still can." Several others agreed. Fear had deep roots. To them, restraint was only another form of deception. At the center of the chamber, David Collins waited for his turn to speak. He stood calmly, holding a single data slate. When the council finally granted him the floor, the room grew quieter. "Before you choose war," David said, "you should understand what restraint has already prevented." He activated the display. Simulations appeared, clear and simple. Trade routes collapsing. Refugee waves spreading across systems. Small conflicts turning into full wars. These outcomes were avoided, David continued, because human forces did not escalate. Every time they could have destroyed a fleet, they chose control instead. Each choice reduced spread, not increased it. A counselor interrupted. "Data can be shaped to say anything." David nodded. "That is why I included enemy records." New files appeared. Alien fleet logs. Emergency calls. Medical reports. "These fleets survived because humans allowed them to," David said. "And because they survived, they did not call for revenge." The chamber was silent now. Then Ashley Turner stepped forward. She did not bring charts or numbers. She brought voices. Recordings played across the chamber. Wounded alien soldiers speaking of human medics who treated them without chains. Captains describing escorts home instead of prisons. Civilians recalling how human patrols protected them during chaos. "They saved us," one voice said simply. Ashley looked around the chamber. "These are not human words," she said. "These are yours." Hardliners shifted uncomfortably. The image of the apex as a monster no longer fit the evidence. One council member stood. Then another. A third followed. "If Earth fights for stability," one said, "then striking them would break it." A formal vote was called. Not for war, but for alignment. Several species broke ranks that day. Their fleets repositioned. Their defenses turned outward, not toward Earth, but beside it. For the first time, human ships were not alone at the border. The choice had been made. Not all agreed. But enough did. And that was enough to change the galaxy. John read the final line once more. It spoke of shared defense, mutual aid, and restraint in power. Then he signed his name. The room remained quiet as other representatives stepped forward and added their marks. Each signature was a choice. Not of submission but of trust. Observers across the galaxy watched the moment replay again and again. Analysts searched for tricks. Strategists looked for hidden advantages. They found none. Human fleets did not expand after the accord. They did not claim territory. Patrol routes remained the same, focused on safety and balance. That was when understanding truly began. Reports followed. Trade increased along protected routes. Border conflicts slowed. Smaller worlds found themselves defended without being controlled. Humans did not command. They demonstrated. A council archivist summarized the final update with simple words. Humans lead through example, not fear. The phrase spread. Children on distant worlds learned it in basic lessons. Officers repeated it in training halls. Politicians quoted it in careful speeches. The idea of the apex changed. It was no longer the image of a crushing force at the top of all others. It became something steadier. A presence that held things together when pressure rose. The galaxy learned that true power was not the strongest fist. It was the steady hand that chose not to strike.